Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have John, joins from Toronto in Canada. So, let's see what John has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello John.
Good
Hello.
morning. Hello.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks for be at the moment to share this interview with me. Thank you very much.
Sure. My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Right, John, so just before we start the game, just tell me where are you from?
I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Amazing. And what do you do for a living?
I am a location manager in the film and television industry. So I find places for TV shows and movies to film in.
Oh, wow, amazing. Oh, that's interesting.
Not the usual job.
And in your opinion, what's the most interesting thing about your job?
I mean, I get paid to explore. So at the end of the day, I'm lucky that I get paid to have fun and play and make believe, but still get to be an adult.
And that's cool. And so what's the time right now in Toronto? It's 5 hours.
It is 10 o'clock right now. We're 5 hours behind you.
Yes,
you're in London, right?
Yes, I'm in London.
Yeah.
I've been before. My best friend lives in Montreal.
Oh, nice.
So the first time I went to Canada was, I think, 2016, and I spent some time in Toronto. I went to Niagara Falls, and I spent like 3 or 4 days over there, which was cool.
Well, the funny thing is, I go usually, aside from last year, once a year I go to London for a conference in December. So, I mean, last year was the first time we didn't because of COVID, but yeah, I've been going to London for the last couple of years.
Okay.
For a couple days.
Amazing. Next time when you come, just drop me a line.
I'll let you know.
Absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, John, so welcome to William and the Magic Box. To go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life, your point of views, etc.
Sure, happy to.
Amazing. I'm just gonna play a music now, just for us to get in the mood before the first question.
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Let's do it. Right, John, ready for the first question?
I am.
Let's do it. The first question is, tough one. How do you think you'll die, or how would you like to die if you could choose?
Wow. At a very, very old age, peacefully and quietly in my bed if possible. There's always that old joke, I want to die, quietly and peacefully like my uncle, not screaming like the passengers in the car with him. But I'd like to go quietly. I don't need a big moment to happen.
Just go to sleep, done.
At the end of a very long life, yes.
Good, very good. Let's go for the second question.
Sure.
Right, John, just before the next question, tell me what do you like the most about Toronto?
It's a big city that doesn't feel like one. It's a very multicultural, multi-ethnic city with different looks. So, I mean, there's always been, I get to travel a lot for work, but I always like coming home because there's just a special energy that you can feel you get around here.
And what's the most challenging part?
It's, congestion, traffic. It's growing like any other city. I mean, we're the largest city in the country of Canada, so we're going through, growing pains of just not enough, too many places, too many people, not enough space. But
cool.
Yeah.
Next question is, if you could give one advice to your president, what that would be?
Ooh. If I could give one piece of advice to our prime minister. There's no crime in taking time to make a decision. I think sometimes politicians just rush out to get the quick results. And I was always taught that there's, fail to plan to fail kind of deal. So, don't just do things because it's popular. It's kind of, you're there to lead. And sometimes leadership means you've got to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Very good. Ready for another one?
Sure.
Let's get it done. John, when you come to London, what's the best parts? What do you like the most when you come to London? The best part of being here?
I was gonna say the food because nobody knows how to do a potato like you guys. It's the architecture. It's just the history. I mean, being Canadian, we share a bit of a bond historically and ethnically. It's just, London's one of the great cities of the world. So it's hard not to go there. I've been there every time I've gone there. It's always been Christmas time, and London just knows how to light up the city. So it's just, there's just something special about being there. You're just walking through antiquity and just it's London. I mean, you know, it's that place where you've always heard of.
Great, great. Next question is, what is your spirit animal?
That's a good one. I've always been partial to wolves. There's just something, if you've ever been up close to a wolf, there's just something magnificent about them. They move with purpose, and you have an inherent fear but wonder when you see them. And I've been lucky enough through work to actually been around wolves a few times, and there's something awe-inspiring about them. It's not a big dog, it's a completely different animal.
Cool. Last time I went to Canada, I just explored more the French side to Ottawa and everywhere, but we went to this park as well. It was the very first time actually I've seen like a wolf in my life, like close, and it just was amazing, like the way they were breathing and everything. Cool. Next question, John. Let's do it. Right, you always wanted to work in the media industry, film and television.
No, actually, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to university for a degree in history, and then kind of not knowing what I wanted to do, fell into retail, and then the opportunity to get into, you know, media became present to me. And I did my first job, fell in love with it. I guess I had a bit of an aptitude for it. I kept getting hired, and now 21 years later, I'm still here. So yeah, it was just something I never really thought of as a career because I didn't really know it existed. So it was kind of a nice surprise to kind of fall into something that I had a passion and an aptitude for. I was taught when I was younger by school teachers that the trick to be an adult is to find a job that doesn't feel like you're going to work every day. That's something you enjoy doing, which I'm lucky enough I get to do that.
Very good, very good. Next question is,
Sure.
What is the most memorable lesson you learned from your parents?
I'm first generation from 2 immigrants that left Europe to come to Canada. I mean, I learned from them that there's no shame in hard work. You know, that you work hard, you can make something of yourself. I mean, they came here pretty much with nothing. Were able to, you know, get a home, raise 2 children, live comfortably in their retirement years. So it was something, you know, a point of pride that you had to work for what you wanted, and there was no shame in hard work.
Good. You have siblings as well?
I have an older sister, 7 years older than I am. Oddly enough, she's actually how I got into the film and television industry. She actually went to school for it, got a job, and then through her, I kind of got my way in and, you know, established my own career.
Very good. And she lives in Toronto as well?
She does, yeah. I see her not as often as I should, but, you know, we're in the same city, so we talk occasionally.
Good. Are you enjoying the show so far, John?
I am. This has been fun.
Yeah. Very good. Another question. Okay, next question for you is, do you have any pet peeves?
Yeah. People who waste my time, I guess, would be the, I mean, I don't want to be cold and callous, but yeah, people who take your time for granted and don't appreciate it. That's always been a pet peeve of mine. I don't mean you don't have to be late, but understand that my time is just as valuable as yours, and, you know, let me know you're going to be late, or don't waste it frivolously when I'm... The biggest thing I have is when people spend too much time trying to explain something. It's like, yes, I've understood it. Let's get to the point. Let's move on. Don't try to over-explain it. We've already gotten it. That kind of infuriates me. Actually, that and the other pet peeve of mine is when people read things out loud to me. If you give me a piece of paper to read it, I can read it. Please don't start reading it to me, because I read very quickly, and I'll be finished that while you're still going through the first few lines, and now I have to sit there and listen. You know, just hand it to me. I'll read it. I'll let you know when I'm done. That actually is one of the secret peeves I don't tell people about. I kind of tolerate it when it happens, but inside I'm just, you know, stewing.
I was about to ask you, does it happen, people around you who works here like mostly every day, they know that?
Some do. I'm just very quick sometimes to just say, here, I'll give it to me, I'll read it. Okay, good, I'm done. You know, there's ways you can do it without being rude. But there's sometimes where I remember I had to do an online training seminar and they showed you the text on the screen and then you had to listen to someone read it out to you. And, you know, there's 2 minutes of my life that I'm now listening to someone read something I've gone through and understood and I couldn't click to the next page until he finished. That was just madness.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Next question, let's do it. For the next question, tell me what the situation right now in Canada, it's Toronto, regarding the coronavirus. So all the borders are still closed?
Yeah, so all our borders are still closed to technically non-essential travel. They've just gotten a little stricter in the last little bit. I think much like the rest of the world, we're all starting to follow the Australian model of, sure, if you have to travel as a citizen, we can't stop you from coming back in, but you're going to have to go. It was a mandatory voluntary quarantine before you went home. Now it's 3 days in a hotel, locked in there, the government, you have to pay for it, and then when you get past that, you get let out. We're going through the second wave right now. The province I'm in, Ontario, has been in a stay-at-home lockdown order for most industries. Luckily, what I do has been deemed as essential, so we're still allowed to work, but it's been tough. I mean, it's funny because we went through this in the spring and summer, and now we're going through the winter, but we kind of get a sense that we're starting to reopen again. I know there's worry about a third wave and as vaccinations are happening, but people are getting a little stir crazy. I mean, it's nicer to stay at home when it's winter, so you don't have to worry about the weather as much, but people are starting to get really, it's been a year. I mean, we're coming up to the 1-year anniversary, in like 2 or 3 weeks. Absolutely. It's hard to believe.
Yes, absolutely. I think this year went so fast, isn't it? Since that started, I think went too fast. And I mean,
it didn't. I mean, I was one of the few lucky people that I worked the entire time. So I had more of a sense. It's funny when you remove that sense of purpose of you have something to do every day is when the time becomes either fast or unbearable. So for me, it's been quick and slow because I can still measure that time is gone. But it's just hard to believe that a year ago, like life was very, very different. You could go wherever not like you can't go where you want it, but the options are, here's one. I'm waiting for things to open so I can get a haircut. I haven't been able to get a haircut since November. And it just sounds like a small little thing to complain about, but you don't realize until it's taken away how much the mundane things you do, you take for granted.
And the restriction regarding your work, it's been too restricted, few things have changed, or you adopted?
We were lucky that we, like most film production around the world, we work for employers that have worked with governments to figure out protocols that work. I mean, I get a test at least 1 to 3 times a week. There's people on the show I work on are getting tested every day. We're in full masks and PPE, and we've had a very low transmission rate. And it's been noticed by our governments that we aren't causing a problem, so they're allowing us to work because at least we're pumping money into the economy. People are working. We're trying to do as much as we can. But yeah, it's we've all come to the conclusion that we'll be wearing masks for a while. It is what it is, and that's the trade-off. If you want to be able to work, you have to make sure you're safe and the people you're with are safe. And we're working together towards a common goal. And it's been nice that we're allowed to work. We're not just waiting. And people financially, it's helped a lot of people too.
That's true. Okay, next question is: when was the last time that you laughed so hard that made you cry?
Wow, any specific reason? I laugh a lot. I try not to be too straight-faced. I'm trying to think of the last time I laughed that much. It was probably something to do at work. Someone did something stupid or silly, and then I just kind of laughed. But again, it's weird when I say this to people, but I get paid to work in make-believe. So it's not like I'm sitting at a factory line stamping widgets. There's some fun to it. It's tough, it's work, but there isn't a day where I'm not laughing at something.
Cool. Like you, very good.
I do count myself very lucky.
Another question. Right, John, let's get another question for you.
Okay.
Tell me what's your funniest memory of a date that you had, if you can share?
Funniest. I once went out on a date with someone who I'm 6'4.5", 6 feet 4 inches, almost about 2 meters tall, about 198 centimeters. And I don't know why I decided to try to do this, but I actually went out with someone who was 5 feet tall once on a date. They're actually less than 5 feet tall. So it's funny. I live in a country that measurements are metric, but when you ask someone here their height and their weight, it's all imperial, so weight in pounds. It was like being with a child. It was very uncomfortable and awkward, but I just wanted to know what it was like. And I can only imagine people that saw us standing together, because she literally came just above my waist, maybe like to my rib cage in height. So, I mean, that was bizarre, but secretly amusing, because I thought why not try it and see what it's like?
That's funny. Right, another one. Let's do it. Right, John, tell me, and what's the most challenging part you find in your job, in your opinion?
Sometimes being able to. So I work in a creative industry where my job is to kind of fulfill what someone put on a page or their vision. Sometimes that's not possible. So that would be one of the hard challenges, is being able to get creatively what they're looking for in a place to film. Or the script says we're looking for deserts. Well, there's no deserts here. I live in a more temperate climate, so we have to try to either tell them it's not possible or find an alternative. That's the hardest part, is trying to you want to be able to produce whatever you're being asked to do, and sometimes you can't, and that's not the best feeling.
But it happens quite often or not? Like
it can. I mean, and then luckily, I work with creative people that if there's a problem, there's always a way around it. Scripts I was taught by a producer long ago, a script is words on a page, and words can change. So if that can't happen, what about this? And part of my job too is to then produce, if I can, alternatives. Yes, you've asked for A, we can't get you A, but here's B and C, would those work? But there are some times where you just can't, it doesn't happen, and you kind of, take it on the chin and move on.
Well, I agree. Next question is, if you could make up a school subject, what that would be and why?
I was lucky enough when I went to school, we had a teacher who taught us life skills. And it was the weirdest thing, is he taught us how to shop for food, how to look for, here's a newspaper, he gave us a bunch of news advertisements from supermarkets and gave us a list of things to buy, and he expected us to find the best price. And I look back at it now, and I've talked to other people, it was simple things like that you need to be able to move on and learn to do, because it's skills that have, I've been able to use later on in life. He taught us how to write a resume. It wasn't something that was in the curriculum. He just realized, you're at an age now, you're about 12 or 13, it's time to teach you how to be an adult. And at some point, people kind of forget that.
It's true. I agree with you. I agree. Another question. Let's do it. Right, John. Next question for you is, what was your worst footy mouth moments?
Okay, yes. It's funny, a lot of things end up being at work. A lot of times at work you have radio headsets, and sometimes you don't realize if you take the battery out and put it back in without turning it off, it turns back on and stays on. Like the microphone is broadcasting and you don't know. And it's always happens to anyone who does it. They're either in a personal moment, like in the bathroom, and everyone can hear what's going on, or that's the moment you decide to say something catty or bad about a person, and they can hear you say it. So that has happened to me once, where I kind of made some comments about a coworker, and of course, then not only did they hear it, everyone else heard it. So, you walk around with egg on your face, and yeah, there's really no good way out of it. Eventually, you have to talk to that person and kind of resolve what the problem is, or you just walk around trying to hide your face in the sand the rest of the day.
The person took in a positive, like, let's say, in a funny way?
No, but again, time heals all wounds. So you give it enough time, and hopefully you can resolve something with someone, or you just move on.
Is this person still around, working with you or not?
I'm just trying to remember who that person is. I remember the moment, not the individual. They probably are, and you just chalk it up to, it's what happens.
Right, let's get another one. Let's do it. Right, John, I'm going to ask you a question. What would be, as you've been working in television and the film industry for a while, what would be your best piece of advice for someone like me starting out my YouTube channel and starting out now this kind of interaction with someone others, you know what I mean, via Zoom? What would be your...
Yeah, just be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not. Just be yourself, and that'll shine through. People respond to honesty more than, you know, a role or a character. And just in life too, don't try to be someone you're not. Just be yourself. And that's, you know, again, just honesty is always in oneself. It comes out. People can tell when someone's putting something, trying to pretend who they're not. Especially when you speak to someone, it comes out whether they're being fake or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even if you don't know the person, I believe as well. Sometimes, even if you don't know, you can feel it. So you can.
Sure. You can tell when someone's holding back. You can tell when someone is being just. You get it. You get that vibe, and you know, and you don't have to be open about everything. You know, everyone has their personal and private sides, but just don't try to be something you're not.
Good.
It always catches up to you in the end. Especially if you're doing, you know, something like this, where you're interviewing and talking to people. There's a, you know, you're being you, and that's what comes across. You want to have. Interviews are bad, conversations are better. You want it to be something where both there's an interchange, not just I'm not just answering questions because you're asking me questions. You want to have a conversation, and then more things come out of it that way.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you. Good one.
You're welcome.
Right. Next question is, what keeps you up at night? It's weird. I have a hard time falling asleep, and I don't know why. I've always been as a kid. It's like I guess I'm missing something out if I don't when I go to bed. So the only things that have kept me up is usually it's a fear that I'm gonna sleep past an alarm. You know, eventually I pass out, and it's very rare that I wake up in the middle of the night unless it's to go to the bathroom. I guess it's just, you know, I guess I'll have the same worries most people have that are work related, but there's not too many things. Are you a day or night person?
Yes, both. Years of being in an industry where you're working daytime one day, nighttime the next. Eventually I need sleep, but I can function in both.
Okay. Another question for you. Let's do it. Right, John. Next question is, what 3 things are you most grateful for?
Wow, it's a deep one. I'm grateful that I have my wits, that I have a modicum of intelligence and I'm not too afraid to use it. I'm grateful that I found something that I could call passionate in what I do. So to me, it's not like I have to go to work. As much as it can be stressful and tough, I really enjoy what I do and the opportunities it's provided me. I'm lucky that I have a pretty good family that's always been there for me if I need them. I mean, I may not be in touch with them all the time, but if I need them, they're there. I know it's kind of simple answers, but
no, it's just genuine. That's what matters. 3 questions left for you, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, John from Toronto. Next question is, if you were to raise a child, what are the most important things would you like them to learn?
There's a few things, but the most important, I think it's going to revert to the same advice I gave you. Just don't be afraid to be yourself. You may not feel like you fit in sometimes, but if you're lucky, eventually you'll find somewhere where you will fit in. There was times in my life where I didn't fit in with the in crowd, but eventually you make your way to people that you're there. Yeah, don't be afraid of just being yourself. Again, it's an honest little piece of advice, but it's the best one.
As I was telling you before, my best friend, he's French and he lives in Montreal, and he had a baby a year ago. I just turned 1 year. Actually, I meant to go to Canada last October, but because of the situation right now. But anyway, so he invited me to be the first, the godfather of this child. It was like, oh my God, it was over the moon. And it just made me remember now. I was talking to him the other day. He was talking that he's now, he's 1 year old now, things are changing, he's growing up and everything. And I just told him, look, just whatever he asks you when he grows up, just tell the truth, just explain, I think it's just be genuine. Don't try to hide anything, and make him feel you as his best friend, And I think just explain. You could be anything like anything like surreal, something like very simple, but just explain. Be open, explain. I think that's would be a nice way to raise a child.
It is.
2 questions left.
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, next question. Okay, tell us about your guilty pleasure.
Food. Plain and simple, food.
Welcome to the team. Welcome to the team.
You'll see in social media that either I'm taking pictures of places I've been or places I've eaten. I will travel for food. You know, I saw the movie Chef with John Favreau, and there's a scene where they pull into New Orleans and they go to have beignets. And the person I was with at the time, I looked at them and said, "Never had a beignet." Next thing I know, a couple days later, we're in a car driving 20 hours to New Orleans to go eat beignets and then drive around and come back. So, yeah, my guilty pleasure will be food. And you'll see it in my waistline. You'll see it in photos. It's food.
And if you could choose just one food to eat the rest of your life, which one would be?
That's impossible. Depends on the day of the week. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna sound like a Holbrook carnivore. I guess if I could only eat one food forever and ever, it'd probably be steak. But then you ask me tomorrow and I'll say pizza, and you ask me 2 days later, I'll say sushi, or ice cream. I mean, I could just eat ice cream. I mean, it's not the healthiest choice, but I could eat ice cream and gelato all day long. Again, I could eat an entire 6-course meal, and then if I walk down the street and smell pizza in the distance, all of a sudden now I want pizza. It's hard to pick just one.
Have you ever, I don't know if they have in Canada, but have you ever tried stick off pudding?
Yes.
Oh my God, I can eat that like with double cream or ice cream as well. That's my favorite dessert.
Well, when I went to London the very first time, that was on the list of things: was sticky toffee pudding, proper chips, a proper English breakfast, high tea somewhere. I think I came out of Fortnum & Mason with like 4 bags of stuff to bring home. The second time I went to London, I literally packed 2 big bags, and one of them was half empty because I knew I was bringing more stuff home. Like I'm almost out of tea. It's like I was supposed to go to London in December, but because of COVID, I couldn't. So I'm really now rationing my tea supplies. Not that I can't get tea here, but it's not proper British. Yeah, I can get Yorkshire and all that stuff, but it's not proper British tea.
Do you guys there drink black tea with milk as well or not?
Some do. I'm fine with tea with just black. Same thing with coffee. My parents actually drank a lot of tea and it was with milk. And then when I got a little older, it was like, no, I don't mind just black tea. It's fine.
Since I've been in England, I'm originally from Brazil, and since I've been in England, the first time I tried with milk, I cannot drink tea anymore without milk. It's something that I need to drink all the time.
Yeah, I'm fine with all of those, but I'm out of sheer laziness years ago, I got accustomed to just black.
Cool. John, ready for the last one?
I am.
Let's do it. Okay, let's do the last question. John from Toronto. Right. Last question is, tell us something interesting about yourself.
See, I'm one of those weird people that always has a hard time talking about themselves because I don't want to sound like I boast about things. I always joke and say the most interesting thing is that I'm tall. I'm an adult, but a big kid at heart. Again, because of work, I've gotten the opportunity to do things like travel to London. I've gone to San Diego Comic-Con as a speaker and a panelist. I still have, and you can see collectibles, toys, behind me in my office. Although I'm an adult, I'm much younger than the age that says on my birth certificate. That would probably be it.
Very good, very good. Okay, it's not the end yet. Okay, let's play now the quick thinking game. So I'm going to give away some words, and you just tell me one word that comes to your mind. Okay?
Okay.
Let's start with religion.
Faith.
Love.
Trust.
Money.
Freedom.
Family.
Love.
Sex.
Love. Fun.
Life.
A challenge.
Politics.
Chess.
Fear.
Drive.
Friendship.
Trust.
Regrets.
Reflection.
Desire.
Passion.
Success.
Happiness.
Wish.
Drive.
And if I tell you Toronto.
Home.
Okay, cool.
The only word I can think of. I mean, if I had a choice to live in any city, if I was infinitely wealthy, I'd go to New York. New York City is one of the greatest cities in the world. There's just, it's funny. So when I get stressed out and I need to get away, some people will go to a beach. I literally will go to New York City for a weekend. Get out of a cab in the middle of the city, the noise, the energy. I know it's chaos, but I find that calming and reassuring. But no matter what, there's nothing like coming home.
I'll tell you something.
Will always be my home.
You say something about New York. This best friend of mine, he was working a bank at the time 3 years ago, and I don't know why. Since I started studying English when I was 12 years old, when I was living in Brazil, and I always had something about New York. I don't know. I always had this dream about going to New York, and it happened like 3 years ago. My best friend, he was working in this bank, and he was like, "Oh, William, I'm gonna travel to New York for a week. Wanna come over?" I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" It was, oh my God, it was the best trip I ever had, and like it's just, my God.
It's mind-boggling when you realize there's 10 million people in just Manhattan, which is tiny compared. It's
yeah.
A sliver of what London is, and it's just this many people. It's just an energy.
Yeah.
The smells, the sounds, it's just,
that's true.
The you know, you can't see the sky because of the size of the building. There's just something, again, it's that city you've always been told about as a kid in media and stories and movies, and you get there. And some people hate New York, and I'm not,
yeah.
you know, Times Square is horrible, but there's so much to that city. I could just spend hours. I mean, I've walked most of Manhattan to the point that my feet were hurting, and I just kept on going. It's just
very good.
If I'm in love with one city in the world and I haven't been to them all, New York always has a special place.
I know next time when I come to New York, I know I'm going to invite you to come with me to show me around more.
Happy to. Happy to go eat. New York City is some of the best food I've ever had the pleasure of eating. Right,
John. So let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend for a cup of tea, and I'm going to ask your best friend. Tell me the most memorable lesson you learned from John, and tell me something that he needs to improve on, in your opinion. What do you think your best friend will tell me?
He'll probably tell me I need to be a bit, probably more patient with things. I can be a little impulsive. And the best thing he's learned from me, I'm not sure. My best friend I've known since I was in grade 5, and we've been through a lot of things. That friendship doesn't always mean the person has to be there at all times. Sometimes we don't get to see one another. I mean, especially these days, but for a couple of weeks, couple of months, we stay in touch. We're still best friends. Just distance doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Let's play now, John, in the magic box. You can ask me a question, okay? Right, you can ask me a question now.
I'm sure you've probably been asked this before, but how exactly did you get the idea for doing something like this? It's quite amazing and impressive, and you know, I've watched quite a few of the videos, but what inspired you and keeps driving you? Thank
you, Joe. It's a very, a lot of people, they ask the same question regarding the show, and it's very interesting because I think the whole idea, the big inspiration, and always I think it's being the fact that I can connect with people worldwide, people all over the planet, and I have the opportunity to to somehow give a voice for them to share so much experience in life, memories in life. I think everyone has so much to share, so much to to learn, and we can learn as well. And I think that it's I've always been doing this kind of interaction when I go on holidays with friends, and I always end up doing this kind of interaction. I go like, oh, tell me something interesting about your city, or this very good interaction. And fun enough, 3 years ago when I was in Brazil with my best friend who lives in Canada, and we met this bunch of people like from France and from Holland as well. And we went for a drink, went for dinner, and end of the night, we are everyone having a beer, and I started out. I said, oh, tell me something nice about Paris. Tell me something, So yeah, I think the big inspiration, John, is just the fact that I have this opportunity to connect with people, and to be honest,
everybody has a story. No one is boring. I've learned that too from experience. The most mundane person can have the most fascinating story you've never heard about, and everyone just, very few people like to talk about themselves, but they'll talk about other things, and then who they are comes out of it. So it's great that you have this format, and it's a conversation, it's questions, and they're a way around to open up and let the person shine through, and it's been great to watch your videos.
Oh, thank you. My God, hear that from someone so experienced in television like you. Oh my God, it just made my entire week. And but it's funny saying that as well, because when the whole idea, I went for a run the first lockdown in March last year. I literally went for a run in the park, and this idea just literally popped in my head. I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna create something that I can connect with people. And I remember I took some pictures at the beginning. I started to write out the questions. I started to do some, research. And when I approached this, I approached someone online from Vienna, and actually the first idea of the name of the show, it's called Anonymous Stars, because I'm anonymous, people that are anonymous, but as you said, everyone has a story, someone have something to share. So I thought to myself, why not Anonymous Star? Because people are going to be anonymous, but at the same time it's going to be a star, because they're going to share something with the world. And when I approached this producer in Vienna, and he just kind of pushed it, okay, William, I think it's a good idea, just start it out. And he told me, how about to say William the Magic Box, because something going to connect with your name, you're going to have this magic box, and I think it's cool. And I was like, oh my God, really? My name with the magic box? Okay, let's try it out. And I think it's cool. I think it's a good way
to be honest, it's much more approachable than Anonymous Star, because it's not the minute you say star, it puts people up on a pedestal and they get worried. And this has been great because it's just there's a fine art to communication, and a lot of people don't. They say what they want to say and they run away. And a conversation it's a game of chess, it's a game of tennis.
Yeah.
It's funny because I mean, you watch enough television, and there's the American interview, which is question, answer, done.
Yeah.
But then you get to some of the more European talk shows where the conversation is more. It's a conversation. It's not an interview.
Yeah.
And that is so much more engaging for the other person, and for someone else who's watching it, because they're watching two people just talk. It's not, you have a question, I have an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say what I want to say and then get away. No, there's a magic to conversation.
And I believe the whole magic of the show as well. I tell you, the questions are here, and I don't choose the questions. I mean, they are all mixed up here, and I believe the right question comes from the right person. I tell you why. I have situations. I've done already like 300 people worldwide since I started out, and it's funny how some people, they get emotional. Some people, they go like, "Oh my God, William, I haven't thought about that for years. Oh my God, William, I'm so glad that we talk about that, because I never talk about that with anyone." So I believe that's what I mean. The fact that you just pick up a question and people, they just talk about it. And sometimes people send me a message, oh my God, William, they're so cute and sweet, because the whole idea of the show was just to have a fun, to have a laugh. I didn't realize how the bigger proportion is going right now, because people, they are open up about themselves, people, they are talking about themselves, things that they don't talk with other people. And I realized as well, people are connected with each other as well. I've seen people sending when they send me this testimonial, there's people make comments under this. Oh my God, I'm so glad to hear that, because I've been through the same situation as well. Just connecting and make people talk about it. And I think it came out in the right time as well.
There's an old adage, we're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. So much. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. My God, I'll tell you something. I'm gonna be very open to you. When I was checking your profile, I've been just inviting random people online, and sometimes I don't go through proper in their profile. When they accept my invitation, I started checking a little bit, and I was checking yours. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Because sometimes I get intimidated for people who works on TV, people who works in television, because I understand, because it's of course it's with me, but I feel a little bit intimidating, because come on, there's some experience. And I've just started out now, but you made me feel comfortable. You made me feel relaxed.
So did you. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone starts at the bottom. It was the same way when I started in the business. It's like, oh my God, there's actors. And then eventually I started realizing they're no different than the rest of us. And truthfully, the reason they look good on screen is because the 150 of us made them look good. So
yeah.
The thing is, as much as I made you feel comfortable, you made me feel just as comfortable as well.
Good, very good. Thank you very much. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Before you go, if you don't mind to share a positive quote or a positive message, something that inspires you.
Trying to think of a positive quote. The one that's always been stuck in my head is an old one from Margaret Mead. That is, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has.
Very good.
And that's been in my head for a very long time.
Very good. John, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And,
my pleasure.
And when you come to London, let me know.
I will let you know for sure, definitely.
Take care, John. All the best,
too.
okay?
All right, bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.